All right, y'all, what's going on? It's Combo Breaker 99 back with another video. All right, y'all, back with some flyweight news that's been going around. You already heard Maycee Barber is out. She's out of the main event against Rose Namajunas, but they wanted to keep Rose on the card. They still wanted to keep her fight alive. So Maycee Barber out. Tracy Cortez is stepping in July 13th in Denver for the UFC Fight Night card. But now the fight, to my understanding, has been bumped down to a co-main event, which probably means it's going to be a 3-round fight now, right? And I kind of understand why it has been bumped down, because some people were complaining about the Rose Barber fight being a main event. But now that you got Cortez and Rose fighting, it's a decent fight, which I'll talk about here in a minute. But this just doesn't ring main event, right? So with Cortez, being ranked lower, and Rose Namajunas just really stepping up her game at flyweight, this doesn't really sound like a good main event. So yeah, it's been bumped down to a co-main event as far as my understanding, and it's going to be a 3-round fight. All right. So yeah, even that with Tracy Cortez taking on, a short notice against, an experienced fighter, that's probably why they bumped it down to a co-main event 3-round fight, right? But Maycee Barber, why she pulled out, I don't know. She still seems to be active on social media, and she ain't saying a word about the pullout, which is crazy when you have fans that were ready to tune in, fans that bought tickets. And on top of that, it's a main event, right? It seems like Dana White and the fighters, they've already should have acknowledged that, hey, I pulled out of the fight. Or Rose should have said, Maycee pulled out of the fight. But number one, Maycee Barber should have said, hey, look, guys, my fight is canceled. I'm sorry. I got things going on. You ain't got to tell everybody what is going on, because I don't know what's going on. Because, she's still active. Like I said, she's still working out. She's still staying in shape. She's still training. So that kind of rubs fans the wrong way, because, a lot of fans are already going to assume that if she pulls out of the fight, it's got to be an injury, right? But it could be something else that, doctors are just saying that you got to pull out at this time. But I don't know what it is. That's why I'm not going on record to, just start calling her a duck, or, going in her chats and, talking all kinds of trash. I'm going to leave that to the simps. I'm going to leave that to the fans that just want to go out there and be negative all the time. But, hey, I am a little upset that she did pull out and she's not saying anything. But, hey, that's on her. Hey, let her deal with it. She's the fighter. But moving on, it's whatever at this point. Let's talk about Rose Namajunas versus Tracy Cortez. My thoughts on this one: not a bad fight, but at the same time, it's not that good. It would have been my last choice, especially when you got a lot more active fighters ready to step in and be that next contender, and some real style threats for Rose. You got a lot of style threats for Rose that could really test her right now. And I mean, one called her out, Karine Silva. Karine Silva didn't look like the same killer against Lipsky. I mean, she was dominant, but she didn't get the finish. But Karine Silva's still a danger at flyweight, and she called Rose out. She was the first one to answer to fill in for Maycee Barber. I mean, she was on Twitter and she said, hey, Mick Maynard, I'm ready to go. I'm waiting on that call. And you also had Natalia Silva, who's now taking on Andrade. And then you had Andrade, who would have made a good main event. They wouldn't have had to bump it down. They could have kept that as a 5-round main event. Rose Namajunas versus Jessica Andrade 3. They could have closed out the trilogy. They could have closed out the trilogy at 125, and that would have been a nice step up. We could have seen how Rose could handle 125-pound Jessica Andrade, right? But yeah, even going back to Karine Silva, Karine, she's ready to go. That would have been a good test for Rose as far as taking on, one of the best jiu-jitsu practitioners, a solid finisher. And Karine Silva needs that test too against, a really good striker in Rose Namajunas. So I like that fight. I would have liked that fight, but we'll see how this thing goes. I mean, there's not really a bad matchup at flyweight right now, but like I said, this probably would have been the last matchup I would have called for, because again, there were so many other fighters I felt would have gave Rose a good main event. They wouldn't have had to bump it down. But yeah, just looking at the two, Rose Namajunas, she's 1-1 now at 125. She seems to be getting that work in, getting a little bit better, and getting stronger too, working with fellow flyweights like Miranda Maverick and of course Valentina Shevchenko. Those are the fighters that she's really been preparing for this Maycee Barber fight. So yeah, those type of fighters are helping her get better. And Rose Namajunas, she's always been one of those fighters that likes to kind of test herself too. So I think that threat of fighting a fighter like Maycee Barber was really going to help her rise to the occasion. And then working with fighters like Miranda, who's always positive, and Valentina, who's got a big fight coming up. That was going to be that big energy, which I think would have made for a great fight against Maycee Barber. But we'll see if that energy still carries over and now a 3-round fight against Tracy Cortez. But yeah, Rose, I felt like she just needed a little bit of time to kind of fill into the weight. you know, let her power kind of carry up naturally, you know, get stronger. And she definitely looks like she's filling out now. When you look at her on social media, she looks like she's filling out. You know, she's just a naturally thin girl, but I think, you know, she is starting to fill out a little bit more. But yeah, you know, there's still some questions that need to be answered, like will she be stronger? Will her power finally carry up in these fights? And this is going to be a fight to really test that, because she's going to be taking on a strong wrestler that I think she's going to need to be keeping at bay. So we'll see how the speed kind of acclimates to 125 in this fight. But again, this could be a blessing in disguise for Rose. You know, Maycee was probably, you know, on a killer track, is on a killer track record right now, you know, with what, 6 fights in a row. So that could have been, you know, a really tough task for a fighter like Rose. So maybe this is a blessing in disguise where she's kind of going the Grasso path now. You know, she tried to take on Manon, but she was too big, too strong for her. But she went back and fought somebody like Ebos, who she is the fighter who she should have started with. And now she's fighting another less fighter like Tracy Cortez, you know, which, not saying Tracy Cortez is like a less fighter, but, you know, now she's taking somebody on that's a little further down the rankings where she can grow. She can go through the process like Grasso. You know, Grasso went through Barber, Jin Yoon Kim, JoJo, Viviana Araujo. That's how Rose probably should have started, you know, humbled down a little bit and just fight like 3 fights where she could feel into the weight, right? So in a way, this is a blessing in disguise for her. Tracy Cortez, looking at her, man, you know, Tracy Cortez, to me, she's kind of like a slept-on fighter, and that's for good reason. She doesn't do one thing great. She's not that active right now, but she gets the job done. She does get the job done when she's in there. Currently, she's undefeated in the UFC. Only 1 loss in her career. I believe that was her very first fight, you know, pre-UFC. You know, she's a big, strong fighter. She always finds a way to win. She's beaten Jazzy Vicious, you know, big, strong fighter. She was able to handle in the trenches. Melissa Gatto, who's really good on the ground, she was able to neutralize with her wrestling. And she has a pre-UFC win over Aaron Blanchfield. So when you look at that win still holds some weight right there, right? It was close, but still holds some weight. So with this fight here, I could see Tracy Cortez kind of posing some type of threat to Rose Namajunas. And likewise, you know, because this will be the most experienced fighter on Tracy Cortez's resume. You know, she's taking on a former 2-time champion. I know it's strawweight, but still somebody who's been at that high level before. So, you know, it's a big step up for her. So, you know, for somebody like Tracy Cortez, you know, she's really going to have to dig deep in this fight, find a way to neutralize, find a way to be the bully in there, where I felt like Manon should have done to Rose, you know, because whenever Manon did get her hands on Rose, she was able to kind of outstrength and ragdoll a little bit. You know, when there's a point where Manon did clinch Rose pretty good and landed some good knees to the body and looked like they hurt Rose, you know. So I think somebody like Tracy Cortez, who's a little bit more physical, has those opportunities ahead of her, where if she closes the distance and neutralizes the striking and she's able to get in, you know, she could probably be physically imposing on Rose. You know, she could land good knees to the body, take her down, and even just kind of work on top. And we know that Tracy Cortez is a good neutralizer when it comes to submissions, because she was able to neutralize Gatto, able to neutralize Jasmine at times, even though she did box Jasmine a little bit more, but she neutralized these fighters, Aaron Blanchfield. So Tracy Cortez is going to be a tough test for Rose when it comes to physical strength and getting her respect. So Rose, on her part, I think she'll have to be, you know, the slicker boxer like she always is, but she's going to have to get that respect and even be slick, you know, even be slick on the ground to try to get that respect from Tracy Cortez by saying, okay, I'm going to make you not want to take me to the ground, because I can take you down and I can be just as strong on top. And Rose does have good top control when she is on top. She's very good at positioning and neutralizing fighters' hips. So we'll see how that plays out. We'll see how strong Rose is in this fight. But I know other questions y'all are asking, with Tracy Cortez stepping up 1 week ahead of her fight, who is Miranda Maverick going to fight? Because that leaves Miranda open. Well, Miranda Maverick is going to be fighting Deontay Barbosa, which we'll talk about in another video. Flyweight starting to pick up again, y'all. A little bit of a shakeup, but we got some new fights coming up. So we're going to make some more videos and talk about that, guys. Let me know what y'all think about this fight, though. Rose versus Tracy. What do y'all think of Tracy's chances in this fight? And will Rose be strong enough and smart enough to handle Tracy Cortez? What do y'all think, guys? Combo Breaker 99. I'm out. Subscribe. Peace.